What's up guys, Stark here. I am back for another Fate video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing another character re-spotlight, and this one is going to be for Altera. So Altera is one of the OG 5-star characters, one of the original characters in the game, and she is a 5-star saber. Like I said, been here since the beginning of the game, and she has quite a bit of improvements over the course of her existence. So we're going to go ahead and take another look at this character and see just how much she's improved over the course of time. So as it stands right now, she has 13,907 HP and 12,343 attack. This is really good stats for her. It'll rank her 38th overall in HP and 8th overall in attack. The one thing that they don't seem to do for character upgrades is revisit their stats. I'm pretty sure that they just stay the same, of course, across the board, which maybe might be something they look at in the future, maybe, updating someone's stats a little bit. But for Altera, anyway, she really doesn't need to worry about that. Her star absorption is 102, star generation is 10.1, and her noble phantasm generation is 0.84 on her attack, which is really high, and on defense is going to be 3%. So Altera has a pretty solid kit of skills in my opinion. She does have quite a few upgrades to her kit as well, which we will talk about as we progress through this video. But she is more or less a selfish servant. However, she does have AoE, which does make her a little bit more viable than a pure single target attacker with selfish kits of skills. But regardless, her first skill is going to increase the noble phantasm strength of all allies for 1 turn. So this is a pretty solid, pretty standard skill here. Getting a boost to your overall noble phantasm strength is going to be very helpful. An 18% boost for only 1 turn, which is a little unfortunate that it only lasts for 1 turn. But it is on a 5-turn charge down, which is pretty low, so you will be able to use it multiple times, potentially in the same fight, if it is a bit of a longer fight. Regardless though, it's a solid skill, gives you a bit of a boost to your overall damage, which is very nice, considering that, in my opinion at least, Altera's main use is her noble phantasm for like farming and wave clearing, so getting that little bit of an extra boost is going to be very helpful. So she is going to have an upgrade to that first skill at some point in the future. Now, it's not currently available on NA at the moment, but we are expected to get it at some point during the year. So that's really something cool to look forward to. And what it does is it'll keep the same first effect, and then it'll add a second effect to it. And this second effect will remove defensive buffs from all enemies. So this is really good. So, if your enemy has like a defense up or evasion or invincibility or anything like that, it's going to wipe it out. And it's an AoE as well, so you'll be able to take it off the entire team, which is very helpful because your AoE Noble Phantasm does not bypass any sort of defense. So you're going to need that little bit of extra help, and this upgrade to her first skill is going to do that. This is also going to upgrade the overall damage increase you get for your Noble Phantasm, so it'll be a 30% increase to all Noble Phantasms for that turn, which is going to be a much bigger increase than 18%, obviously. So a very solid upgrade to her skill, and like I said though, it is not currently available on Global, but we are expected to get it this year. Her second skill will increase her own attack debuff resistance for 3 turns, and this will also recover her own HP. So this is more of a defensive skill, being able to resist those attack debuffs. It doesn't go up to 100% though, which is a little weird. I really do like when they have a 100% chance of succeeding. Otherwise, it's just a potential for the skill to completely fail. But outside of that, you do have a 2500 HP heal, which is really nice. Once again, this is on a 5-turn charge time, which is really low again, so really nice there. And this skill will also get an upgrade. So overall, it's not like the worst skill, but it really doesn't do that much for me. It's just in my opinion, it's basically just a straight heal. The chance for the attack debuff resistance to fail, you guys know by now that I really don't like skills like that. And then for the upgrade that I was talking about, it's going to add a third effect onto this skill where it will increase her own critical star gather rate for 1 turn. This will be a 300% increase. And then it's also going to buff up the other effects. So for the attack debuff resistance, it goes up to 120%, which is much better in my opinion. And then the heal goes up by 500, so it'll be a 3000 HP heal at maximum level. So this is just a little bit better in my opinion. I don't think it's a massive upgrade. I think her first skill upgrade is significant to her overall kit. This one isn't really much of an upgrade, but it does help her, get that little bit of extra stars to land crits and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of an upgrade, but I think her first skill upgrade is significantly better to her overall performance. And then her third and final skill will increase her own attack for 3 turns, and this will also gain critical stars. So this one once again is on a 5-turn charge time, which is really nice, and the attack boost that you're going to get from this is going to be 30% for 3 turns and 15 critical stars. So yeah, pure attack boosting skill here, and there's no upgrade to this one. I don't think this one really needs an upgrade. It pretty much hit the nail on the head there with this. So overall, just a pure damage boost, which is going to be really nice. As for her passives, she has 3 passives. The first one is going to be the Magic Resistance B, which will increase debuff resistance by 17.5%. The second one is Writing A, which will increase quick card effectiveness by 10%. And then finally, she has Divinity B, which will apply damage plus 1785. So overall, taking a look at her kit as a whole, I do think it's a pretty solid kit, especially factoring her first skill upgrade. That's going to be really big for her playability and usability. Being able to remove defensive buffs before firing off your Noble Phantasm while also increasing the overall strength of your Noble Phantasm is going to be really big. And, you know, that's not necessarily just counting her own Noble Phantasm. If you do have someone else in there who is going to be, like, say you're going up against a single boss who has invincibility, and you use her skill and wipe out that invincibility while also boosting the attack of that Noble Phantasm for your ally, who comes in with a really powerful single target that doesn't do invincibility pierce, then, you know, you're really good there. So I guess that's going to be something I talk about again for her support. But overall, for her skills, I am going to give her 4 stars. So now let's take a look at her command card deck and her Noble Phantasm. For her command card deck, she has 1 quick, 2 arts, 2 buster, and the hit counts are unfortunately going to be pretty low. So you're going to have 2 hits on the quick and arts, 1 hit on the buster, and 3 on the extra attack. So she really doesn't make too much of a use with her high Noble Phantasm generation. Unfortunately, I guess that's there because it offsets her low hit counts, which is really unfortunate. But regardless, you know, it's a pretty solid kit of command cards. It's pretty balanced there, and her Noble Phantasm is going to be Buster, so you can do the Buster Brave Chains with that if you do manage to draw all 3 of them in the same turn. As far as command chains go, you're going to go Buster Arts, Buster Extra for damage. You're going to bring in a Support Servant's Arts card with her 2 Arts cards for a 41% increase to the gain. And then you're going to have to bring in 2 extra Support Servant quick cards and then her quick card. But this will give you 30 critical stars. Now this does factor in her 3rd skill as well, so really it's only a 15-star gain. But still, if you do combo them together, then 30 critical stars is pretty good. As for her Noble Phantasm, it is going to be a Buster Noble Phantasm, and this will deal damage to all enemies. And on the overcharge, this will reduce the defense of all of those enemies for 3 turns. So overall, a pretty standard Noble Phantasm. It's an AoE wave clearing, farming type Noble Phantasm. I've used her quite frequently in teams before Scotty came out, where I would just use her to with a kaleidoscope and just go ahead and just knock out the enemy team. Pretty simple, pretty strong, but yeah, there's nothing like crazy with it overall. And then there is going to be a upgrade to her Noble Phantasm, and this basically will just up the overall damage that it does, and this will also up the overall reduction to defense that it gives out. So there's no additional effects, no special changes, just an overall boost to the already existing effects that Altera has. So all in all, for her damage, I'm going to give her 4 stars. She has quite a bit of attack boosting stuff there in her kit, so it's going to give her like quite a bit of a boost into attack, obviously. She has really high attack stats to begin with, ranking 8th overall in the game, so she's going to be pretty set there. Overall she's just going to do a pretty solid amount of damage, but it's nothing like explosively groundbreaking or anything like that. Still, she can hold her own quite a bit. For her critical ability, I am going to give her 3.5 stars. She does have 2 of the 3 critical ability stats covered, with her ability to gain critical stars and then her ability to absorb those stars. Now, her base stats for crit isn't really that special or anything like that, but she is a saber, so it's pretty average for that. But she doesn't really have any way of reliably benefiting from those stars, so actually like having herself get her own gather rate increase might actually hurt her in the long run, unless you're building it around her, so you bring in someone who can increase her critical star strength. In that case, then maybe you'll be alright landing those powerful hits with crits. But yeah, she has the abilities in her kit, but she doesn't really she's not really a crit character, in my opinion anyway. So just 3.5 stars for crit. Her Noble Phantasm is also going to get 3.5 stars. It's a pretty solid Noble Phantasm that does a reliable job of clearing waves of enemies and is very helpful for farming. But the overall effects of the Noble Phantasm just are pretty bland and boring in my opinion, and maybe that just is chalked up to the fact that she's an original character. So, you know, there wasn't too much creativity for a lot of the effects at the time because there didn't really need to be. So, when this happened, when she came out, this was a good skill and a good effect because there wasn't a whole big variety of different effects and characters that did the same thing. But now looking at it 3-4 years later, it's pretty boring, pretty bland, but it still gets the job done in my opinion. But outside of that, you know, Noble Phantasm isn't just strictly to the overall skill, it also built into how reliable you can generate your Noble Phantasm gauge, and that's where she's going to struggle a little bit. She doesn't have any sort of battery or anything like that. Now, her Noble Phantasm gain is good, but her hit counts are low, so it really doesn't benefit her that much. So she is going to need quite a bit of support in order to get off multiple Noble Phantasms in the same fight, if that is what you're going for. And even without a Kaleidoscope, even if you are trying to get one Noble Phantasm off, it might be a bit of a challenge. For her survivability, I am going to give her 3 stars. The only sort of defense that she has in her kit is going to be her second skill, which is going to heal her 3000 HP. She has no defense, no evasion, no invincibility, no anything really, no guts. So, you know, that 3000 HP might help for a turn or two, but outside of that, she's going to be pretty easy to kill, especially if she gets hit with a Noble Phantasm. So she's going to get dropped pretty fast. But yeah, you know, you want to bring in someone who can help keep her alive. That would be an ideal situation because she really can't keep herself alive that well. And then overall for support, she is also going to get 3 stars. And I really talked about this pretty much already with her skills. The only form of support that she really has is going to be in her first skill, which will remove defensive buffs from enemies. And while that is a huge thing and very potentially game-changing for her as a character, it opens up a lot of possibilities for her to use. She doesn't actually have that skill available in the game right now, so this, you know, I guess I'll give it half a point for future considerations, but as it stands today, she doesn't have that skill available to her, and the only other support I guess she has would be reducing the defense of enemies off of her Noble Phantasm. Outside of that, she's purely selfish. I guess she also increases the Noble Phantasm strength of all of your allies. So yeah, we'll justify that half a point increase because of that. So overall, that will give her a 3.5 out of 5. I think she's a solid character, and she probably does suffer from the fact that she is one of the original characters in the game. And, you know, there has been a lot of work done on her over the course of time, but I don't think it's enough to really eclipse some of the other sabers in the game, especially considering how much love they're giving Artoria. So yeah, I think she just kind of gets overshadowed a lot by some of the other sabers in the game. But if you do have her and you are using her, she is very useful in farming situations, but you do need a lot of support to bring in order to make her shine. So yeah guys, that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I do have the links below to my Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and Discord, so feel free to check those out, and I'll see you guys next time.
命は壊さない。その文明を粉砕する。